my favorite setup is, I feel like also the easiest one. Also the one that people I've coached who've competed have hit this a lot. So just from close guard here, I feel like this is one of the easiest spots to set it up. What we need is to make sure that our partner doesn't have their hands on our biceps here or hands in the armpit here, because from here I can't really pull him down, I can't control his head, I can't get much going. So just to practice, we're going to start with our partner having frames in here. We're going to look to swim our hands inside here. Now from here, if Theodore's leaning weight into my arms here, I just push him away a bit, and then I pull in my knees and guide his hands away from my body. If he's not really leaning weight in, I can just get my arms in on the inside here. From here, I want to collar tie right away to control his posture, and I want to look to get a wrist control here. Okay, maybe his hand's on the mat. If he's a little bit better, he has the hand in. Okay, there's a couple ways we can grip here. They're very specific. They're going to help you a lot. So either we go on the inside here with our thumb up. This is my favorite grip, because if Theodore has to free his hand, he has to move it away from his body, which is going to make this easier. If I go with this grip, which a lot of people take, typically something you grab for kimura here, the problem is that Theodore can free his hand on the inside. Okay, so he can strip the hand and still have it close to his body. So either here on the inside of the wrist with the thumb up, or on the outside of the wrist with the thumb down. This is a great grip for stuffing in the hand and throwing the legs over. Okay, so we clear the hands. I bring the hands in. If I feel like they're heavy, I push him a little bit away by extending my body, and then I pull in with my knees and do a knee pull. Get a good collar tie where we go wrist deep around the back of the neck, and then we're looking for the hand. Take the time to get these grips here. If the hand is out, then I go on the inside. Okay, from here, I still pull my knees in, and I want to look to clear this hand. Okay, if I feel like I need to do a pit stop, I can put my foot on the bicep here, or on the shoulder, depending on my flexibility and his height here. Here, shoot my legs over, and I don't lock up a triangle, full triangle immediately. This is really important. I just lock up what we call a trap triangle, where I just have my ankles crossed. From here, I keep everything tight, heels to the butt, knees pinched together. I'm lifting my butt slightly off the mat, and I grab a collar tie here, and I pull him in with my knees. This is a really good control. From here, if he tries the classic stack, where he just tries to run around the corner, it's not going to open the triangle, because when it's fully locked, it's going to bust open my legs. But from here, it doesn't, and I can easily adjust. Okay. If he tries to posture up, I have my knees pulling in, and I have this collar tie on top of his head to pull him down. Let's just move back a little bit. Here. Okay, so this position, later we're going to positional spar from here. So get good at pinching in, heels to the butt, pulling in with my knees, and I collar tie here on the side where the arm is trapped. So last time, here, swim your arms in. If you can't clear this, push, pull in hard with the knees. Collar tie, wrist control. If it's out, go on the inside. If it's close to his body, go thumb down and push in. Now I can shoot my legs up and lock this trap triangle. I pull him in, everything pinches in together, and I collar tie on the same side where his arm is in here. From here, I should be able to control him. It's hard for him to move around here, and from there we're gonna look at how to lock up a picture perfect triangle later, okay? So let's grab our partner and work this. You can play with the grips. If the hand is away from the body, go inside on the wrist. If his hand is close to the body, then go thumb down, push in like this. Let's try on free. 1, 2, 3. There's of course classic simple ways to lock up the triangle. And the problem with them is that they work, right? They work, sometimes they work, but sometimes they don't work at all. And if we lock up a fully locked up triangle and it's not strangling our opponent, this is where we're gonna tire out our legs, and this is where they're gonna bust through your triangle, okay? So being too hasty about locking up the triangle here is gonna be a downfall if it's not there, right? So especially Theodore, he's really hard to triangle. He was DGL, he did a good job, but he got caught in a triangle, but he was in that triangle for like 3 minutes. That's a sin, okay? You shouldn't have a person in your triangle for 3 minutes. They should be done, okay? So we're gonna look at some details now, how we can angle ourselves to make the lock really, really, really tight. So when we're here, right, we lock this up, we wanna pull a partner in here. We keep this collar tie until the triangle is fully locked. This collar tie is super important. So I get the collar tied here on the same side where the arm is trapped. Now what I need to do is I need to angle my body out, and I actually need to open up my legs. So it's important that even though I'm opening up here, that my collar tie is nice and solid here, and my knees stay close together. I don't want to open up so much that you can bring a hand in or pull an arm out, okay? So we lock up. We're gonna look to scoop inside the leg over here. So I'm looking to get under his leg. If for some reason I can't get under this leg, I can look to scoop all the way under on the other side. Now look here, my legs are actually open right now. Let's move a little bit. What keeps Theodore in is this collar tie and the fact that my knee, my legs here are close together around his head and arm here. If I'm way too open here, he just pulls the arm out. Yeah. So collar tie here, I'm scooping under. From here, I can start to pivot. I want to pivot, bring myself up on my shoulders here. Okay. Look at the position of my knees. I want my choking leg, that's my right leg. I want my knee to point down here, and I want my top knee here to be behind his head, on top of his head. So my lock is not on the side of his body, it's on top of his head. Right now, I'm covering Theodore's shoulder here. All right, I'm gonna scissor my legs here, so I push in with the bottom leg, and the top leg pushes down with my knee. I should be able to submit him here without even locking it up, okay? So I'm scissoring here. This leg pushes into the carotid artery, and the knee pulls the head down here. Then I lock up. From here, I pull everything in, and it's disgustingly tight. Because the lock is on top of his head, even if he tries to stand up here, right, it tries to shake out, tries to stack out, it's just a brutal lock. If I just lock up the first and best triangle here, am I gonna choke you here, Theodore? Never. No. Here, from here, it's easy for him to turn around the corner, stack, smash. It's a lot harder to choke him, and I have to squeeze with my legs way more, okay? So, guys, we gotta get our lower back off the mat, and we're gonna look to cover this shoulder by bringing our hips out and around the corner. So, collar tie, we scoop under the leg, and look here, I'm curling myself up. My right knee points down, my left knee starts to get up behind his head. From here, I can grab my heel, curl in, pull in, and it's really, really tight. So what I'm doing without Theodore here is I'm going from here where my knees here on the same level, and I pull myself up to a lock up like this. Okay, so I need to get up on my shoulders. I'm doing that by scooping under his leg. I'm doing that by scooping under the leg, so I'm straightening my arm through and I'm moving my head close to his leg here. And look at my hips. I bring them high and around the corner. From here, you want to scissor everything in, super tight, and then you lock, and then it's done, okay? This is a really tight triangle. Sure, it's not as fast as just shooting and locking it, but the problem with that lock is either you get them or you don't get them at all, okay? So this way we cut off the shoulder, our hamstring goes right into the carotid artery here, and it stops basically like 90% of the counters from there, okay? So let's work this now, and let's really practice getting up on our shoulder, and look at our knees here. The knee that's closest to the neck needs to point down. The top knee needs to be in the back of his head. We scissor in, lock, curl, and it should feel like, for your partner, like their head is about to be cut off, okay? Let's grab a partner, practice this on 3. 1, 2, 3. Everyone does a pretty good job of scooping here. Guys, if you have problems, because I see some people going the wrong way here, if you have a hard time just remember to set your collar tie first, okay? This arm is in, collar tie on this side. We're gonna keep that collar tie, as I know I only have one hand available, then I know what side to go to, okay? So if you follow the recipe here, it's gonna be a little bit easier, because I'm just gonna keep this most of the time. So now my right hand is free, now I know I need to go to the right. When you open up here, think about letting this knee slide down a little bit. And the trick here is I want to try to see if I can pivot off his shoulder here. I want to try to hide the shoulder inside the lock. So when I go around here, look, my legs are open, but they're still pointing in. To get this hip higher, I'm pushing in with this knee. And as I'm pushing on this side, I'm pulling myself up. I'm trying to bring my ear all the way to his knee here and bring my lower back off the mat as much as possible. The more I can get this off, okay, look how the shoulder's gone here and my lock starts to be right on top of the head. I want to see my right knee pointing down and be below his ear. If it's above the ear, sure, this can work, but again, if it doesn't work, then we're gonna tire out here and it's gonna be hell. So we wanna set this tight and look, before you lock up, scissor, grab your heel, and now crunch in, okay? So if Theodore just gets out of the lock here, look how I'm positioned here. Lower back off the floor. I'm getting close by straightening my arm through and pulling my ear to his knee. This is what brings my hips off the mat and around the corner. As long as your knees are close together and you have the collar tie, they're not gonna rip their arm out, they're not gonna posture out. So you gotta have confidence in that so you can move the rest of your body around and position yourself in here tight, okay? I know it may seem a little bit cumbersome, but if you get really good at this, you'll be much more confident in your triangles and you'll have much more opportunities to finish people, okay? Let's just work on getting up on that shoulder by going through and bringing our hips off the mat. Let's try on 3, 1, 2, 3. Hopefully you can feel like if you can get out to that angle, when you lock up the triangle, it's really tight. And of course, like, it's not always going to be easy to get into that position, but it's worthwhile drilling, getting good at, and trying to practice it in sparring, okay? It's worth the extra effort to really get up on your shoulders because your finish rate is going to be a lot higher. You're going to have less of the shoulder and the back inside the choke, so if you have short legs, it's going to be easier to fit everything in there. And if you have long legs, there's typically a lot of space between the hamstring and the neck. When you turn yourself into that position, that's going to eliminate a lot of that space also. So whether you have, you feel like your legs are too long or they're too short, getting into this position will eliminate a lot of those problems. Now, there's a defense that typically shuts down the regular triangle here, and that's when Theodore decides to bring this arm on the outside of the hip here. Here. Stuff it in here, right? From here, it can be a problem to lock it up because look how far his shoulder is away from his artery here, right? Even if I feel like I can get this pretty tight, this here just opens up this side here and it's very difficult to lock the triangle. Yeah. He can grab on the inside of his leg or you can lock his hand underneath my butt here, okay? From here, instead of trying to force the front triangle, we're just gonna switch to an opposite side triangle here. And we're gonna do a basic one where it's not focused on the choke, but on the arm locks. So we're gonna get up here, we're gonna grab our other leg, and we're just gonna lock up the triangle the wrong way, okay? So this is the wrong way for choking, but it's a great way to get tight on this shoulder here. Then from here, we wanna look to put some kimura pressure on this arm here. So we can scoop under, lock our hands, and think about bridging and twisting here to pull the arm up. So here, like if there's a lot of tension in the arm, you can get a tap here. You can switch to a kimura here, go flat and pull it up. And sometimes people will straighten the arm, and then we can go right back into our favorite finish here where we get up on our shoulder. So the key here, maybe I should lock it up on my bedside here so I don't fuck up my knee. So here, the key here is we need pressure in this arm. So we just lock up a wrong side triangle here, close to the neck. We want to get a hand in here. Then I can like close like a vice grip and I'm thinking about rolling down the tricep and the bottom arm here is pushing up on his forearm. This creates a lot of pressure, sort of like a kimura. If I can get him to open here, I can slide through, lock a kimura. The kimura finish from here is you want to go flat and pull everything up to the shoulder line here. If he straightens it out, Now we can go back into the first submission, okay? So what I'm looking for here, I'm just gonna demonstrate the grip here, is I want an arm in here. I want my arm in, and I want to think about cranking this down. So I'm gonna roll the tricep down, and I want to push the forearm up here to put this pressure on the shoulder. I can bridge with my hips to put a lot of pressure on it. Oops, here. So look, I slide this arm under. So my right arm goes under here on this side. Left arm comes over, and I'm thinking about rolling down here, and I'm pushing on the opposite side here. If I can lock up a kimura, it's great. If he straightens it out, I can go right back to my finish here, okay? So let's try to practice this with our partner. You can bridge your hips in if you want, but you really want to try to use your grip to roll the tricep and push the forearm the opposite way to get that good crank effect. Let's try on 3. 1, 2, 3. We want to aim for perfection, right? But maybe we just met a goddamn monster here. We feel like we can't really lock up any kind of triangle. We can't lock up any kind of triangle. We can only have our angles crossed here. Nothing really works, okay? Well, now it's time to get a little bit brutish. So we're gonna try to pull our partner in as much as possible, and then we can look for some primitive but somewhat effective moves here. Okay, first and foremost, if we can lock some sort of shitty triangle where we can just pinch him in here, we can look to take our fist on the side where his shoulder is supposed to go in, and we want to put it in here diagonally right at the carotid artery. From here, everything pulls in. Knees to chest, I pull down his head, I curl everything in, and I just push slightly. I don't push into the trachea, okay? I'm a caveman, but I'm not a psycho. I push in on the side here, diagonal, right here, the carotid artery. Everything pulls in and down, okay? And maybe I can get something going with that. If I can get him to move a little bit, maybe the shoulder gets closer, then maybe I can upgrade to something a little bit prettier, okay? Another thing, if we feel like, okay, we can't lock it, we can also go for some caveman arm locks here. If his hands are separated, I can look to go 2 on 1 on the wrist, and I can look to start bending his arm over my thighs here. So my knee pulls in, and I push with 2 hands out the opposite way. This puts a lot of pressure on the arm. Maybe you twist it. Okay, I can switch it from caveman americana or caveman kimura. This one can get classy a little bit faster. Okay, and these moves here, they might work, they might not work, but they might open him up enough that we can get into the pretty stuff here. Okay, so first one, just fist right at the carotid artery, go in diagonal, not straight, but here. Everything pulls in, and I curl him in. Okay, this one sucks to be in. If he starts to move, I can lock up something prettier maybe. Okay, if the arm is out here, go 2 on 1. And you want to push across here, and I'm pulling in with my knee the opposite way. That puts tension in the arm. I can go americana, straight arm lock, and I can get a kimura bend here. Okay, these are not pretty. They're not super technical, but sometimes if people are just there and we feel like we got a good grip on them, we can use this to make stuff happen and maybe upgrade to something prettier. And if they don't do shit about it, they're just gonna have to tap or get something snapped, okay? So this is a great way to approach it if you can't get to that perfect move you wanted to hit. Last one before sparring, let's try on 3. 1, 2, 3.